This is an 8-iron, and it's a dead shank. Wow. Way right.
Oh,
Takes a hop
shank.
off the pad.
You got to be kidding me. Very tough pitch shot right here. You got to hit it into the hill. One hop up and bite, and it's in.
Kind of like that.
Well, I would like to welcome to the Sub 70 podcast a man who truly does not need an introduction since he's been on the podcast probably more than anybody else. The semi-pro, former touring pro, now semi-pro, the great Mike Dominick from Phoenix, Arizona. It's warm weather. He's playing some golf, and he's got a few opinions. Semi-pro, thanks for coming on. Look forward to the conversation.
It's going to be great. I'm already halfway in the bag. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, happy hour has been hit in Phoenix. It is Scottsdale. The city does party, and having you on completely sober would not be fun for anybody. I am sober, so I can keep, sort of the conversation flowing, but this is going to be like stream of consciousness for you. First off, thank you for hosting me back home. I know you're originally from California, and Eureka is fantastic. It's beautiful. And I had a great time hanging with the family, seeing the Honorable J.B. Mathers, and I so appreciate, the opportunity to go see that part of the country. I had a blast, man.
Yeah, it's, when most people think about California, it's sandy beaches and L.A., San Diego, San Francisco, all that stuff. And, we're 80 miles south of the Oregon border on the coast with the redwood trees. It's polar opposite. Like when I tell people, it's like the Mexico of Oregon, but just with bigger trees. And, anytime somebody comes out, the family, the community kind of comes together and loves to host people. So can't thank you enough for coming out. Had some great oysters. You got to see the Baywood Golf and Country Club where Mikey grew up playing on those greens. And, JB took you around town and, looks like you had a good time.
I had a blast and probably saw the greatest undeveloped piece of sand property on two sides of an ocean on that little peninsula going out there that I've ever seen in my life. They're never going to build a golf course there, but my God, if they did. What's that thing called again, that point that goes out there? Yeah, so it's the Samoa Dunes. So anybody who is familiar with golf course architecture or architects, every single one of their books, you're talking about Doak, Core Crenshaw, all the way through, they always write in their books that if they could build a golf course, it would be on the Samoa Dunes of California. Now, the California Coastal Commission will never let that happen, but when Bandon Dunes was first looking for a spot to build a golf course, they started in Samoa. And when they found out that they wouldn't let them build, they slowly started moving north, and then they ended up out of Coos Bay, Oregon, and ended up building golf courses down there. But, Jason, it was fun to go out there with you. I probably go out there maybe once every 2 years, and to go on a walk and just talk about golf shots, it was truly epic. It was a great The course was just there, Mikey. The course is like, you could be like, there's a par 4, there's the par 5, man, would that be a great piece of property to put. It wouldn't take much. I'll put it to you that way. It's God made that one. If you developed it.
Yeah, he definitely did. And you think about what it would have done for the economy of Humboldt County to just have a few golf courses there and places to stay. We took you to Humboldt Provisions where, and for the listeners, Humboldt Bay is the number one producer of Kumimoto oysters in the western United States. And the guy that has all the oyster beds, who owns them, takes some of those oysters, and there's a restaurant right off the bay called Humboldt Provisions, and takes the fresh oysters over there. They shuck them right in front of you, house-made sauces, and it doesn't break the bank. Just because, it's like steak in the Midwest with oysters on the West Coast. Phenomenal spot. JB took us there, and shout out to JB for showing us the local fare, because that place wasn't there when I was around, but awesome spot.
It's legit. It's legit. Along with the Elks Club at 2 p.m. is also legit. I
was the one drinking. Well, yeah, I was. I was drinking bourbon at 2:00 in the afternoon. But
we don't judge, Mike. It's 2024. All right. Well, anyway, I had a great trip. PGA Championship. It's a major. The scores didn't look like it, but I'm okay. You know, it was a birdie fest. My first question is, what is the PGA's identity at this point? I mean, the other three to me, I kind of got in my head. But how, as a former touring professional, do you view that major, and what's its DNA and core, and you know where they got in the schedule now, and the scores are shooting? Like, give me your view from 1,000 feet on that one.
Yeah, the PGA Tour, from every viewpoint of major, has always been ranked last. And this is not saying anything against the PGA of America, but it's always been ranked last. Like, you know, you win the PGA, hey, that's great. You got your major. You beat some club pros and some other guys. But, you know, if you win a U.S. Open, you know, the British Open, I don't care if they just call it the Open. It's still the British Open because they're arrogant with the R&A. The Masters, I mean, those are the three big ones that everyone really looks forward to winning. It's just, I did not mind seeing the PGA have scores on it. And they had a lot of rain. You know, Valhalla is not an easy golf course, but they had a lot of rain. It was playing soft. But the PGA Championship is not made to beat you up. It's made to, if you play your game right and you hit the fairways, and we don't want to make it so penalizing. If you miss a fairway, you got to lay up, you know, stuff like that. The PGA Championship is just meant to, hey, let's roll the golf ball out. Let's go see who shoots a good score. We want some scores out there. And I think recently, I mean, that's what golf has been lacking in the majors, is to have a tight leaderboard on Sundays. And that's exactly what the PGA Tour did. Or the
PGA of America. Yeah. PGA Championship. Yeah.
PGA Tour would have screwed it up.
Right. Yeah. PGA. You know what? I'm with you. I think it's exciting. And the way they had that back nine set up, you knew they were not going to go backwards. I mean, right, Bryson shoots 64, loses, which is crazy, right? On a Sunday in a major. Xander comes through the 65 when he needed that clutch putt. Like, it was a great ending. And you know, the PGA Championship has really had some exciting television, you know, coming down the stretch the last few years. I'm kind of digging on letting them just shoot some scores. Let's not make this a bogey fest. Let's just get some really good players out there and let them go low on Sunday. I'm okay with it. And as you well know, Mike, it doesn't matter how long they make the golf course. As good as these guys are anymore, if it's soft, there's no defense. It just doesn't matter if the hole's 500 yards.
Yeah,
on a par 4.
Yeah, exactly. There's no defense. You know, you can make the course 8,000 yards. If it's soft, these guys are going to attack it. And they're so good with the wedges, it doesn't matter if they miss, they're going to get up and down majority of the time. But, you know, the USGA, when you look at the, you know, like the U.S. Open and stuff like that, the USGA is like the government. If you want something to get screwed up, you bring the USGA in. But the PGA of America, I mean, these are the guys that are legitimately running the world of golf in the United States. And they're not going to trick anything up. They're not going to make anything overly difficult. They're like, you know, like we always said when we play basketball, we're just going to roll it out, our 5 against your best 5, and we're going to go play hoops. And that's what the PGA of America has done. So even though it doesn't get the notoriety of the British Open, of the U.S. Open, of the Masters, all that stuff, you know, they really did it right. And to look at Sunday and have 12 guys that could possibly win, that makes for exciting, as the Honorable J.B. Mather says, that makes for exciting television. And golf right now needs exciting television. That's what they need.
It was fun to see all of the best players together. I do miss that week in, week out. And what was the quote? The Liv took all the assholes. It was kind of, I mean, I like Bryson just because he's different and he's outside the box. I'm a fan of his. I'll try anything to be better. it was exciting to see him pounding drives and playing that style, and some other guys not taking as aggressive lines, and the scores were all close. There was not just one way to play this golf course, and it's fun to see all of these great players in one location. Like, I miss that as a fan.
No, it was great, and I've always been anti-Bryson because, you know, I got a lot of backstory on Bryson, but Bryson, he's a different cat. He's a nerd. His celebrations are weird. He says a lot of the wrong things, but two things that stuck out to me about Bryson this weekend. Number one, you saw the video of him tossing the golf ball to the little kid, and the guy stole it and ran off, and Bryson called him out for it. And the guy ran back. He said, "Give the ball to the little kid. That's who I threw it to, and he stole it." And he gave it back to him. I said, number one. Number two, when Bryson made that putt on 18, the celebration was awkward, but you could tell how fired up the guy was in order to do it, in order to compete. And that's what I really like about Bryson. Like, he's as weird as it gets, but Bryson, you know, I'm starting to become a fan now because of stuff like that. And no discredit to Xander Schauffele on winning, but like I said in our group text with all the boys, if I would have made that putt and got up and down on 18 the way he did, I would have shotgunned a bottle of Elijah Craig and ran around the crowd, Happy Gilmore, and, you know, high-fiving everybody. It just seems like it was like a relief celebration. Then
it looked more like relief, right? He's been so close so many times, and to actually get over the finish line, it looked more disbelief and relief. My God, I've finally done it. Right?
I agree.
You know, and so it's just, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure later that night or the next morning when you're holding that thing and you can't believe it's yours, right? I'm sure it hits you. He's been really good. I was going to ask you about this too. Like, as a player, well, first two parts for both of those guys to come up clutch. What does your mind have to do for those guys to get that ball, both Bryson and Xander, to get that ball up and down when you need it? You've put in the work. Like, how are these great players just having the ability, when these young guys, they just don't fall apart anymore? And like, what is that? How does a player do it, Mike? You've been in situations where you have to make putts. Like, how do you get yourself there to execute that when you absolutely have to make an 8-footer like this? These were not kick-ins.
Yeah, the listeners are going to be mad at me for this because it's a standard response when people ask about, hey, what were you thinking about out there when you shot 59? And you hear them all go, well, yeah, I just stuck to my routine and hit my spots, right? So even though it's a big moment, you know, the more that you can control your breathing, you know, just think about, hey, it's not about shooting 61. It's not about tying for a major. It's, hey, I have to hit this 10-foot uphill left or right breaker. What spot am I rolling it over? What speed am I going to hit it? Where do I see the ball going in? And then you just got to step up and do it. And Bryson did. You know, he's got a different routine with his putting where he paces everything off, takes his putter back a certain way for downhill, side hill, uphill, all that other stuff. I mean, everyone saw his ball trickle in on the last little roll, and you could see him lean, and he was like really wishing it in, but you know, it's just sticking to your routine. And like Xander, everyone's freaking out about his lie off the tee shot. And Xander knew it's like you got a back middle pin with a split fairway on 18. The easiest way is to just take an iron, swing like a baseball bat. You got to get your right arm on top of the ball in order to avoid it hooking if you want to, and lay it up left of the green, and then leave yourself an up and down, rely on your short game. And the guy takes a lot of practice strokes to feel the grass. Hey, hit up there to 8 feet. I mean, well, I think his putt was 62 inches, but you know, if you're 62 inches, you know you got to make percentage of, well, I always call it 50%. It's either going in or it isn't. But, you know you have that. And for Bryson to get up and down, Xander to get up and down, was remarkable. And the only thing I really wish that Victor Hovland would have made that putt, because Javi is such a great player. He deserves one. He works hard. But if he would have done that and then would have made par, we had a three-way playoff, that would have been really cool. But to get up and down 18 to win, that shows some real stones. And I'm glad that Xander did it, even though I thought celebratory deal was relief.
It would have been what Mikey D would have done with a major. Semi-pro would have been a little bit more exuberant.
If semi-pro would have won a major, then I'd probably be in jail. That's kind of like with Scotty Scheffler. So,
okay. Well, yeah, but you would have had a way better reason for being locked up with a mugshot. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So Xander gets over the hump, and you see these players take these steps, and he's been playing good. And without revealing too much here, because I know you're personally friends with Wyndham Clark, but you've seen his ascension from getting out on tour to becoming a legitimate tour player to winning on tour to winning a major. Did these players just build on that confidence? Like, is it just one of those things where Xander's been there enough times, like after Wyndham won, and like does it just confidence build confidence? Like, can you see the parallels of what you know from being friends with Wyndham and then seeing what Xander's doing, of that natural progression that these great players can just kind of get to?
Yeah, Wyndham's a great guy. I mean, he struggled for a long time. I mean, because what was he? He was like 1 year on the Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour. He was at risk of losing his card 1 year, and everybody saw in full swing. The guy had to go back and work with a sports psychologist on realizing that you're the best and realizing that you've done it so many times before. Just stick to your routine and get it done, right? I mean, it's just another golf shot. But
is it like getting out of his own way at some level? Because like Wyndham had so much talent, Xander has so much talent. It's almost just like let it. Is it like a cliche with Wyndham, or do you think sometimes Xander's trying too hard? I know it's a cliche to say that, but
yeah, I think like from what we've seen with Xander, he's been good in Ryder Cups and all that, but when it came to majors, and again, this is not any knock against Xander or any of these guys are the best in the world. But Xander, it seemed like he would get off to a hot start and just play his game. And then when it came down to it, when he was in contention, he would hit it to 20 feet and not make the putt. He'd hit it to 10 feet and not make the putt. And he was always just kind of hanging around. And while Xander was hanging around, other people were making birdies.
And going and winning it.
Going and winning it. And it was like Xander couldn't get over that hump. Now, when you look at what Xander did on Sunday, the guy shot 6 under. He went out, he kept it high, and he knew that he had to make birdies, because if Xander goes out and shoots even, he ends up in a tie for fourth with Morikawa, right? So that's the thing. It's like you could have a 5, 6, 7 shot lead on the PGA Tour on Sunday, shoot even, and lose. That's just.
So is it almost a good thing, you think, for him to be able to know, like, I cannot just play safe? He had to keep playing his normal game, which got him to that position. There's no other choice.
Yeah, Xander had to push it over the edge, and I'm sure he had a conversation with his caddy, who was a teammate at San Diego State, where they said, "Hey, you got to stay aggressive. We got to go out and we got to make putts. We got to make birdies, because there's 140 other players out there with nothing to lose." I mean, obviously that's before the cut, but after the cut, you got 80 guys that are sitting there chasing you, and half of them don't have a chance. You got 9 other guys that are behind you going,
that leaderboard was stiff, yes, with some world-class players.
It was stiff. I mean, you go down this, you got DeChambeau, Hovland, Daytrees, and Gray on the European Tour, Morikawa, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Justin Thomas, McIntyre,
yep.
Scheffler, McIlroy, Thagala. I mean, you got guys out there that want to come and clip you, and they like you as a person, but they don't care about you as a golfer.
Right. And so he goes out and wins it. It's
yep.
You think he's it's never the floodgates. Oh, is he going to have the floodgates? Yeah, I think what do you think? Maybe in his career he's got one more in him. Maybe he's a 2 major kind of guy, 15, 16 wins.
I mean, I could see with him winning this. I mean, I could see Xander winning any of the other 3. I hate to put a cap on people just because how many times, Debbie Cruz, who's a sports psychologist at Arizona State, would look at players coming through Arizona State and say, oh, that guy's going to make it, and then they never did. Then they look at somebody who wasn't going to make it, and they made it. And right, so you can't put a cap on it. I mean, do I think that Xander could get a couple more majors? Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of going up. I think the next guy up is Sahith Theegala. I think Sahith is going to get one because he's kind of stuck in that place with Xander where.
Yeah, he's there a lot more though. Week in, week out, he's starting to get really good. He's getting real comfortable being comfortable near the league. You can start to see it. Yeah,
and Sahith has got a great story. I love his story a lot. But Xander, yeah, I definitely think you get a couple more, but I also could see, because I know Liv has been talking to Xander, that, hey, you get that one major, do you now take the $250 million to go to Liv?
His old man said he ain't doing it.
Well, old man says he ain't doing it. I mean, if he wants to send it, hey, that's great. I'm not biased either way. I get people taking the money, but, I hope he stays. I think Xander, cares about the Ryder Cup. I think he cares about USA. I think he cares about winning more majors, and that's also the thing too with like Wyndham Clark. I mean, the guy's about growing his own brand. Took him a while to get really going, and now he's won a major and 2 other PGA Tour events, and he's like, hey, I just want to do my own thing. So, but you can still beat him every now and then. Well, he still owes me about what was it, $29? I think he owes me $29. We'll get that figured out some other time. Yeah. Well, you might be having to give him like one aside, I'm guessing at this point, or he's giving you one aside at this point, maybe. Well, yeah, maybe. But I got to give a shout to Wyndham and his agency, the family. Wyndham signed. Obviously he's, sponsored by Mark Wahlberg's clothing company, Municipal, Blade and Bow Bourbon, and all that. So Wyndham Clark and his agency actually for the Boys and Girls Club golf tournament in Scottsdale gave a signed U.S. Open flag, a signed Wells Fargo flag, 6 Blade and Bow bourbons, and a bunch of municipal socks and hats to auction off, where we ended up raising over $65,000 for the kids. So, with that strength that like Wyndham has in his brand, that's the kind of stuff you get, and that's what people really love. It was a really, really cool deal. Well, he's not going to win just one major either, in my opinion. If I can hit 96 mile an hour ball speeds with a power fade, that might work. At a couple more of knocking it out and getting a few more done. Right? He's the sky's the limit for that dude. No question about it, talent wise. So hope he gets another one, right? You should beg for as many shots as you can get from him. Why not? He's a major champion. You haven't won one yet, but yet being a keeper. Next time we go, you never know. No limits. You just said don't put limits on yourself. Right. I am putting limits by begging for shots, but not putting limits on how many shots I'm going to beg for. There you go. Tiger Woods. Is the end near? I was always that guy who I said if anybody can do it, it's Tiger. And I think it's a lot of, for lack of a better word, I think it's a lot of bullshit when they're hyping everything up before the event. Tiger shot 62 in his practice round. Every single player, Justin Thomas, all these guys, are like, oh, I've never seen him look better. I'm like, well, dude, the guy's got one leg. We've all seen him look better, right? If you're saying you've never seen him look better, you were not there for when he was a lot better. You never did. It just, I don't know if he can. I mean, obviously he can play. It just looks like physically, it's very hard to get through 4 rounds. And the other thing is can he put the practice time in anymore? I mean, it's amazing he's playing as good as and there's no knock from me on Tiger. Like, it's incredible with everything he's been through. He made the cut at the Masters, right? Like, I mean, that dude's been through hell and back like twice. So, when you're playing against kids who are 25 years old, like, I guess at the Open Championship, he could probably, flatter golf course, not as hard to walk, more strategic. But boy, it seems like, trying to do the Hogan thing of playing 4 or 5 events a year and probably physically not being able to put the work in that he would want to normally put in. That's a tough order. Yeah. I mean, Tiger. If Tiger wins another major, I'm not surprised. If he
Really?
doesn't, I'm like,
If he does
I
or
mean,
doesn't?
it's Tiger. Everyone wrote him off in 2019, and he shows back up and wins, and he hits that shot to 6 inches on 16, and Brooks Koepka and Justin Thomas, all those guys are like, man, I really wish I played against Tiger in his prime. It's like,
I know you
dude,
don't.
the hell you do. You have no idea what you're going up against. And then,
But Mikey, that's pre-accident.
yeah, that's true.
Somewhat two legs back then. Somewhat. I mean, his left knee was shot, but I mean, I'm a Tiger fan. Like, I want to see him do well. It's just, when does, I don't know. I don't want to see him become he's such a legend, such a great player. I don't want to see him become like it's a success if he makes the cut. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. But, are we going to start calling him Lieutenant Dan? Like, you ain't got no legs. But, but the thing is, like, if anybody could come back from that and do it, it's Tiger.
Yes. Would you agree that the Open might be the best shot at him because, he doesn't have 190-mile-an-hour ball speed. He's going to strategically get his way around.
Yes. And that's where I kind of thought, like, he would be more competitive this week because of the soft conditions, plotting it around, being able to rely on his irons, which he's always been great at. That's what I thought. But when you look at Valhalla, you got to walk across all these bridges. It can be target golf. It was probably a lot of walking for him, soft conditions, all that, which is not good. If he can get over in the British Open and it's firm conditions, flat walking, hey, we probably got shot. So if he ends up winning another one, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm not surprised. Amazing feat, probably the most amazing in golf, not surprised, right, if he did it. But if you told me that Brian Harmon got in a car accident like that and he's had as many surgeries, there's no way I'd ever think he would play.
No. It's like I said, it's superhuman he's even competing. Most guys would just be done. Right? It just shows how good he is after, basically living shit kicked out of him. And he still beats half the players in these majors. Like I said, you got to remember, he makes the cut. He's still beating half the best players in the world. Masters is a little weaker field, but you know what I'm getting at, right? Like, it's still an accomplishment. I want him to be competitive. I so want to see him be competitive still. And I wonder if father time and injuries have just caught up. We'll see at the U.S. Open. So the transitions to this. Give me a couple picks. We got the U.S. Open next. Iconic golf course. Chipping, going to be interesting, right? Always is. Short game. Keimer had it going that time, putting everything. There's not one way to do it. Give me, give me a dark horse and give me two studs that you might be, betting some money on.
Jesus Christ, man. I haven't watched this much golf since you told me that we were doing the podcast, and I had to watch it all weekend. It was brutal.
Any trend line that you like? You got little insights. You can watch this and go, I like where it's going on. Like, let's go with a dark horse. Is there anybody that might, those conditions on that golf course, creative, short game, interesting layout, love the, sand base, but it's not your typical U.S. Open type golf course. Anyone just pop into your mind, your demented mind, that might be like a dark horse sort of pick here?
Man, the thing about Pinehurst is it just depends on how firm they make it, right? So with Pinehurst, they put the love grass in there, and the reason they call it the love grass is every time you hit in there, you feel like you're getting FUCK'd. That's, Keimer, when he won it, when was that, 2000?
It was a while ago.
Was it 18, 16? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But he putted it from
everywhere.
All everywhere. Because the lights are so firm. Right. So if we look at it, if you look at the favorites, you got to look at somebody like Bryson, who can bomb it around there. With his length, the guy can pretty much do anything. Just as long as he keeps on a straight path. We also have to remember the PGA Championship. The only reason that Bryson was in contention is on 16. He hooked into the trees and hit that bison, or he came back into the fairway, and he had to make him birdie, right? So if Bryson can control it, he's always he's always going to be somebody to talk about.
Just because of the shorter irons into those treacherous greens, that's just such an advantage.
Yeah.
Of taking that much length off of it and as precise as you have to be, essentially. Because short game is solid, but you're just saying if everyone else is hitting a 9-iron and he's hitting a sand wedge, huge
Exactly.
advantage. Okay.
Exactly.
So you like Bryson.
I like Bryson. I like Minwoo Lee. I mean, that guy, Minwoo could probably be a dark horse pick, but I mean, the guy plays so well in every single event. He hits it far. He putts it well. He's kind of a steroid surgeon, the way that you could kind of put it. But yeah, no, Minwoo is an amazing player. You got to look at another dark horse, Austin Eckroat. Besides me almost getting in a fight with his dad at like the 2021 NCAA championships at Greyhawk, I think he's a nice kid. I don't care for his dad, but other than that, you got to go with Austin Eckroat.
I'll have to hear this story some other time. I'm assuming was the old man intimidating at least?
No, not really. I mean, he his wife beater was pretty clean. Had some beer stains on it, but other than that, he wasn't that intimidating. He tried to be, but he wasn't. He was wearing like, I can't even name the shoes. It was some of those caddy shoes, like with the CCO or something on there. Who cares? But no, I mean, the guy was fine, but yeah, don't really care for him. The other guy
can play.
The kid can play golf, and the other guy, I look at him every single week is Ludwig Albert.
Yeah, talent wise, right?
God, I mean, the guy was born in a factory.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's just effortless power, right? Mentally, he seems good. Talking to JJ Clean, he's so stupid good. Like
stupid good.
Ludwig is, right? Like just stupid good. Just insane good.
JJ's stupid, Ludwig's stupid good. And
yes.
I love JJ to death.
Correct. JJ can play a little golf here now. Yeah, but he's like Ludwig is insanely good. JJ's good. Ludwig, stupid good.
I mean, the last guy to win
his talent is insane. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, gosh, you're good. We always cut each other off. That's the best thing about it. But the last guy to win the U.S. Open at Pinehurst with Martin Keimer was German. Ludwig, Swedish, but could be German. We never know where the heritage is coming from. So, I mean, those guys, I mean, looking at this field, every single person in this field could win it. It's that crazy.
Yep. On an interesting golf course that doesn't just favor one style of player, besides your short game having to be on that week.
Right. So if you're a good mid to long iron player, you can hit 3-woods and hybrids off those tees and run them out, and you'll be fine. But if you're not a good long iron player, it puts driver into your hand, and then you got to start taking a little bit of risk, right? So, I mean, with every single person on this roster, any single person could win. But when you look at dark horses of who people are not going to be betting, they're probably going to be looking at like Ludwig, Minwoo Lee. I mean, Tony Finau, Harris English. It lines up perfectly for him. Harris is such a ball striker. Right.
He does everything well. There's no weakness in his game.
Exactly. He's not the guy that's going to blow you away, but he's there. I mean, could this be Ricky Fowler's year? Like the guys been playing pretty steady golf, right? Russell Henley hangs around the first 2 days, comes on the weekend.
Another player, right? No weaknesses. Does everything really well. And he's kind of a gamer. He's a gamer. Like, if he gets near contention, he kind of doesn't, like, once he's near the lead, if he's top 5, he kind of bulldogs his way, no pun intended, where he went to school, but he's kind of a little bulldog, right? Like, he kind of sticks around, and I don't think he's afraid to win, if that makes sense.
No, he's not. I mean, he's like a bulldog. He walks a little funny, too. So it's like, yeah, he's a perfect bulldog. Adam Hadwin, I would write him off. Emiliano not playing well. Lucas Glover, depends if he's on mushrooms or not. If Lucas Glover is on mushrooms, take him. If he's not, don't take him. But that's just the way that it goes. I mean, with Lucas. But the other guy, too, hasn't been playing as great lately, but, God, the guy's a surgeon. Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, the kid has kept an Excel spreadsheet of every shot he's hit since 2017 in college. It's insane.
Will he hit, do you think with his style, would he go driver and risk it, or do you think he plots it around there? More 3-woods, more?
Matthew he's gained more speed, but he's not a long hitter, right? So he'll probably go quite a bit of driver around there to get it up. But he's also the guy that sits there and goes, well, if I carry it 245.6 between 245.8, I'm probably going to go with 3-wood. And that's how he does his game.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. Let's see if any of your predictions come true. If there's one that, like, all of a sudden Ludwig is winning the U.S. Open, we will come back on to get you're obviously then on a heater, you're half lit, but it's working. Let's go with the Open picks after that. So we will hold you to these picks, and then if you're wrong, just, ridicule you on social media if that's okay.
No, yeah, well, if anything goes on social media, it's 100% truth, right? Like,
yes.
We can't go away from that. But my pick for my pick for the U.S. Open, and
Here
everybody,
it is. Drum roll. Here it
is Ludwig Aberg. That's my pick.
That is your boy. Ludwig's your boy.
That's my boy.
Okay. All righty. Mikey D, the semi-pro. Follow him on Twitter under semi-pro. Always fun. Always opinions. That's why you come on. And I always enjoy getting your insights, on these tournaments. And we'll certainly have to do it again, fine sir.
We definitely will. We got the U.S. Open coming up. Can't wait to do a recap after that. And thank you for giving my wife some golf clubs for her birthday.
Always glad to do so. I will see you out at Dismal River in the Sand Hills. Hopefully, I'm actually being off the injured reserve and can play. We will find out. If not, I will just harass the shit out of you from the cart and make fun of you the entire time.
It wouldn't be anything that's different than any other time we played.
True that. All right. Thanks, semi-pro.
You got it, Jace. We'll see you guys soon.